I was born in 1991 in Farmington, Missouri. I was raised by my parents who split up when I was 3. Raised up, pretty good upbringing. I quickly got into sports. That became my passion. Sports were always my passion growing up through school. My mom is a person in recovery as well. So that was my off the field struggle, if you will, was watching her struggle with her addiction. My dad tried to be as supportive as possible, but they had their feud as well. But I think that's where the start of my struggle came. I used sports to take out aggression of the things I didn't necessarily know how to handle. I became very prideful. It was a small town, football town, and I was the captain of the football team, so everything that comes with that. So very quickly, my ego was inflated, but kind of behind closed doors, I had a lot of anger. So I think that's where the confusion, I guess, kind of came in, for me, as far as like discovering more of myself, because I had an inflated ego, but didn't necessarily feel like the true version of myself, because it was based off of everything that was said about me, or like identity in something, not necessarily as Jordan, but as Jordan as the captain of the football team. But I knew that the Jordan that was struggling was the Jordan that had a mom who was his best friend, that was becoming addicted, and I had a lot of anger built up over that. When I left high school, because I was always, I guess, allowed to take the shortcut just because of sports and being good at sports in a small town. But I had kind of this like perfect storm brewing, at home. So when I left high school, there were no handouts. There was no one that was turning the blind eye because of, the position that I had. And then I was left kind of without real direction. I went to SEMO. I was kind of down there just, I felt by myself, no direction. My mom, her sponsor, everyone calling me, looking for an answer or support. All I knew was that I just lost my true love at the time, which was football, and now had a real problem that I was being looked at to deal with, and I was angry. Towards the tail end of my use, prescription pain pills, quickly went to heroin. Heroin then graduated for me into methamphetamines, and amphetamines took me down a downhill spiral that I did not know if I was ever going to get out of. I tried to get, you can call it getting clean. I tried to take myself out of this world a couple times, could not follow through. I tried, getting clean for others around me. It just was never successful. I have a very vivid picture of me being homeless in my hometown. I'd been up for a little while, but I was sitting on the main street and I had gotten rained on all night. That next day, I had walked to the outer skirts of a park and just had broke down crying. I was crying and praying and hollering to the sky, praying out to God like that. I was just broke, completely broke. And I had went through a lot of tough times, but this was what I felt the lowest. And I really surrendered that day. I called and I think I saw some hope in that, because I had made a call to my dad, who had set a healthy boundary line a while back, and he agreed to put me in a room for the night to kind of get myself cleaned up and get some rest. And that day that's when things turned for me. I believe that there was something bigger that had a great impact on my life, that was steering my life, and I found some peace in that day. And when I was in that room that night was when I decided that I'm going to start living life like I used to play football. So when I was at SEMO, I had like I said, I'd been there many times, but they had a new staff member there who was facilitating group. When I was in group, I saw something that was exciting to me. It was Colton Baker, and he was running that group. I was excited. It was fun. I saw that he was young, that I could really identify. I could really relate with him. After group, him and I had started to meet individually, and I kind of had told him what my previous experience had been, and he had made a suggestion, of transitional living, more specifically recovery house.
Gotcha.
And that Colton had made calls to the two family members that were willing to support the cause for probably the last time. And he went around himself and, collected the rent money for the initial fee. And when I was discharged from SEMO, he took me up there personally to recovery house. God has guided me and put me around a lot of great people in this process. I would say that my heart's been renewed and my mind started to follow. I started to value something more and bigger that was anything that could ever be on this earth. So I believe in the things that last forever. I have faith that the closer I become with him, the more I stay around my support here, I stay true to the principles that I've been taught in this process, that I will be led to where I'm supposed to be. It's worked up into this point, the love that's passed through one person to the other that goes to the next. Being honest, these connections with each other, what would this life be without the connections with other people? And so I value those things highly, trust and honesty, and having integrity with the things that you're doing, believing in them wholeheartedly. And so I would say my number one value is love and all the characteristics that surround it. And I do give a lot of credit to John, because there was something in me that I didn't necessarily believe was able to do some of those things. And it takes someone to come in and advocate for you, to help you believe in yourself, to tap into some of, I discovered myself in that process. I discovered that I was able to do it. That, some of the things that I dreamed of doing were not impossible. And I think John came in and saw my desire to help, and kind of was like, hey, I see you want to help. You want to help a bunch of people.
Yeah.
And we kind of ran with it from there. It's kind of one of those things that when someone asks you what your dreams are, what your goals are, it's just it's like almost too big to answer. Having a Hope Fund in my name, I would be forever grateful for. I would be forever grateful because it represents like eternal giving. It's something that can be funded and then given, funded and given. And if there's one thing that I want to leave behind, is that it was a legacy of love and a legacy of selflessness. And I feel like a fund in my name would represent that. I want the Jordan Hampton Hope Fund to represent the extra effort. I want it to represent the seed that gets planted, and that's the difference. I want it to be something of continuous giving. I believe that this can be something that forever will be a difference maker long after I leave this world.